Welcome to the Maine State Museum. My name is Joanna Torow. I'm the Chief Educator here at the museum, and we're going to try something new today. We're going to be taking you through the museum on a virtual scavenger hunt. We're going to be using our scavenger hunt that is found on our website, mainstatemuseum.org, and we're going to explore the museum together, finding different clues to answer the questions that are inside our scavenger hunt. And we're going to need everybody to make some good observations to find those clues and listen extra careful. We're going to start off in our logging and lumbering exhibit. And we're going to go to Dave Hunt, who is an educator here at the Maine State Museum. He's going to give us a little bit more information about the steam-powered locomotive that's right behind us and how it relates to Maine's logging history. Dave?
Okay, well, Joanna, this locomotive is 174 years old. And early locomotives in Maine and railroads in Maine weren't used to transport people, they were used to transport lumber. And this particular one brought lumber from the sawmills in Whitneyville to the docks at Machiasport and down in Washington County. Now, there were 8 miles of track, 2 locomotives on this line. And sometimes locomotives at this time might have been given a strong, powerful name. And sometimes if there are 2 locomotives at this particular line, they might have been given names that were similar or have something in common.
Okay, we're in the middle of our lumbering and logging exhibit, and you can see that there are all sorts of tools around me. So let's take a look and figure out more about the kinds of tools and work that lumbermen did.
This is a cant dog, and it's an all-purpose logging tool. It was used in the woods, and it was also used on the river drive when the logs are being floated downstream to the sawmills. So way back in 1858 up by Orono, in a town called Stillwater, a man named Joseph Peavy was watching river drivers have all kinds of trouble with these big old heavy things. And he said, I can do better than that. And he went home and had his son take a metal point, put it on the end, make the hook so it wouldn't go back and forth too far, and it's called the Peavy, and it's still called the Peavy today. It's an idea that came out of Maine, again, because logging was such an important part of this state's history.
It was really interesting learning about the Peavy and the cant dog. It sounds like those river drivers had a lot of risk that they were taking. It was pretty dangerous out there.
You're right, Joanna. These logging and river drivers were very, very dangerous. Logs we put in the river and be driven down to the sawmills or floated down to the sawmills because in the 1800s and the 1900s, no highways and trucks, you had to use rivers. And you had to keep these logs moving. Now you use tools like the cant dogs and the peavies, but you can imagine how slippery these logs would be on the river. You have to make sure they don't get jammed up along the way. Very dangerous, very hard line of work.
Next, we're going to be exploring our shipbuilding and sailmaking exhibits here in the museum. You can see behind me that we've got a very artistic display of shipbuilding tools. The shipbuilding industry is one that's been in Maine for a very long time and continues to be an important industry today. We're going to move over and take a look at a very important ship that at least a part of it is here inside the museum. The ship model that you see right over here is of the St. Mary. The St. Mary was a very impressive ship that was built right here in Maine, in Phippsburg, Maine, in 1890. She was over 246 feet long, so she was a really very large ship. She had a really heavy-duty hull for carrying things that were produced in Maine and to other parts of the world, a lot of building materials like granite or lumber. In her maiden voyage, she was actually carrying a lot of coal as well as other metal goods. So I wanted just to show you what she would have looked like and point out some features of the ship, especially this section right over here, which is about 40-foot section of the original part of the ship, just a small piece of it. So this section is what we have on display at the Maine State Museum. In fact, I'm standing in the hull, this bottom section of the boat where all of the goods to be sold would be stored.
The St. Mary was built in 1890 down in Phippsburg, and on her first voyage, she was going to take cargo from New York around the tip of South America and continue on to San Francisco. Now, the St. Mary was a sailing vessel, and down at the tip of South America at a place called Cape Horn, the wind's always kind of blowing the wrong way from the west to the east. So it takes quite a while to turn that corner and continue on the voyage. And when the St. Mary got down there in August of 1890, there were 14 other vessels trying to do the same thing. And it's almost like a traffic jam. With all these other vessels down in the area in a very small space, and all these big vessels that really can't turn very quickly, what do you think might have happened?
Oh my gosh, Dave, I can't believe we're standing under such a large piece of granite. It looks so heavy. If this was actually a real piece of granite, it would be like 4,000 pounds. But I'm not worried because that's not real. It's actually made out of styrofoam by some really talented artists that were on our staff when this exhibit was put together. So this exhibit is all about granite quarrying, and we've got tools and equipment behind us in this exhibit talking all about the granite industry, which was one of the largest industries in 19th century Maine.
Granite is a heavy, dense rock, and the secret is to kind of find a grain or a rift to split. And that's what Floyd's doing here. Floyd's looking for that rift. He's taking a hammer and a chisel. He's making a hole about 6 inches away. He'll make another hole. 6 inches away, making another hole. Then what he's going to do is place pieces of metal in called feathers, and in the middle, a wedge called a plug. It's called plugs and feathers, and after he'll come along with a hammer, gently tap it, and the granite will fall to the quarry floor. Now remember, back in the 1800s, early 1900s, no highways and trucks. So we have to get Maine granite to all these different places all up and down the East Coast. Again, granite's very heavy, very dense. How will you get it there?
Now we're going to talk about our fishing and sardine canning display here at the museum. Maine coast had a lot of fishing-based industry in the 19th and 20th century. The last sardine cannery in Prospect Harbor, the Stinson seafood plant, closed in 2010.
This is Pam. Pam's taking sharp scissors, cutting the heads and tails off sardines, putting them into cans. Now, she's paid according to how many cans she does, so she has to do this very quickly. Why do you think she's got tape on every finger on both hands?
I guess we're at the end of our time today. Thank you for coming along with us on this portion of the virtual scavenger hunt. Next time, we're going to go through our Back to Nature display and take a peek at our display of Maine minerals and gems. Hope to see you then.